Hey everybody, so yep, still on validation. I think it'll be validation for a little bit longer. So I was thinking about what the downsides of this implementation that I sort of worked on yesterday, and the downside is that sooner or later, like if you worked in a in an environment where like an enterprise environment, sooner or later, management, somebody from somewhere, QA, all kinds of people, like everyone is going to want to have a list of validations. They're going to be like, do you have a list of all the validations for whatever, like they're just going to want a list. And it will be very difficult to derive a list from this sort of code. Um, it's not too bad now since there's only one, but if there was like dozens or hundreds, this would be very, very difficult to get. So I don't know. Maybe a way forward would be to say like const validation object validation dictionary is equal to like that, and then oh yeah, you don't put and then in here this is just constant, so basically you would have like a key of scene, and then inside of this you would have fog density, and then in here you'd have positive float. And then so that would be, so if you had a bunch of these, it would be super simple to generate a list for anybody who would care to know. And as a developer, it's kind of nice too because you can easily see, and you can then write some code that would just look in here. So basically, so we still want to do the is one deep, and then say validation dictionary. I love how I misspell things sometimes. If, and then would be like path 0, comma. Oops. Right. If this dictionary, I don't know what the problem is with this. So I guess maybe I have to call this an Annie because it's just not going to let me. Yeah, it won't let me interrogate this with a variable, which it's just like kind of a bummer. Um, I don't know. I'll think on that. So we're going to say, hey, if that exists, and so we know it exists, so we don't have to worry about checking it. And we don't need to check on that. All right, so that's going to be path 0, then path 1. So we're saying, hey, if this is something, then return it. Then we'll probably have to set that const TypeScript's not going to let us return that. Just return that. But we'll try validation. We'll try validation type is equal to whatever's in there. All right, so basic. Oh, so it is letting me. That's wild. I guess, yeah, I guess it can easily compile. It's kind of weird that it wouldn't let me, that it wouldn't, unless, if this being an, if that wasn't set to any, um, then it wouldn't let me, like, at this point, it won't let me interrogate it. Like, I'm just saying, hey, does that exist? Why is that a problem? Um, so I don't know if we need the is one deep. It is kind of nice because we do know. So we don't even actually we don't even need that because we know that. So the thing I was worried about, well, I guess I'm still worried about that I could send something through like for not foreseen for something else. And yeah, so I guess yeah, so I do need to. So what I was trying to figure out is if I need to actually do the double check. But yeah, it is possible that this wouldn't exist. And if this wouldn't exist, then that would throw a runtime error, and we don't want that. Um, but as long as we're one deep, this is going to solve any issue. And I think that's nice. And I think it's nice that we, I guess we don't need that anymore. I think it's nice that um, we can see all the validations very easily. And unless this got to be more than about, I don't know, 80. Well, and this could get huge though, because this will end up being basically mapping out the entire system. So I don't know, but I think this is going to work out really well, and I do think that it kind of hits a lot of things that we need. And I think it might be a better way. I don't know. Once we go back to animations, it might be a better way to set up animation validation as well. Because I do like this a heck of a lot better than the way we did animations. But so we are 8 minutes and 9 seconds in. So that's a really, really good time. I think the next uh, the next video, basically, I'm going to use this validation type. So basically, in my, what is it? In the toolbox, in my scene manager, I create this fog density validators. But what I would like to do is be able to say, hey, what are my validators? And then when I get that validators list back, then I want, so maybe that's what I need to do next. Is I need to type this validation fog density positive flowed. I need to connect that to this function. So so I probably need another lookup. I'm wondering, so this is just, this is a very, very simple function. I wonder if I can, man, this, so this is exactly how this happens. Um, okay, yeah, so I think the next thing I need to do is tie this thing, which is basically a token, right? Like I'm going to this validation type, I'm getting the type, I'm getting this string back, which is just a token. And in return for this token, I would like this function back. And so that's what's next is maybe I'll write a function. I don't know. It's probably going to go a lot like yesterday and today's, where I'll write a function that takes this token and returns this positive floating point validator. And what that's going to do for me is then in my every other field that needs a positive point validator, all I need to do is add an entry into this validation dictionary. Um, and then they'll get this token back, and basically that should be fairly simple, but it is extraordinarily abstract. Like, it's super simple but abstract. And I've always, when I started on this validation journey, um, I was just like, why are these such abstract shit shows in every place I've ever worked? And that is why. Um, it just, it's a very complex thing, validations. So anyways, so that's next. A function that returns a function, and that function will be based on this token. And this token, if it returns this if it gets a positive float, then um, we'll do that. Now, one thing that is kind of a bummer is I don't have this typed. Um, and I would love for this to be, and maybe I need to work on that too. I would love for this to be typed, strongly typed to this validation types, so that the only thing, so that this could be a string and this is a string, but then this results, which I think I am doing something similar to that in there, but and that's fine if it's validated to be a string. So like if we look at the animation validations or animation interfaces, we have this like mapped supported type, which is a key string, and then supported types. What I want is a key string, and then inside of it, another key string with those other types. So anyways, that's going to be interesting. It feels like there's a long ways to go. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.